zvichafetwa sei uye kuti marights evanhu vachapia vachaitwa zvakamira sei. So zvatiri kungoda ndechekuti titevedzere bumbiro remutemo. Bumbiro remutemo riri very clear. Kana munhu achiuya achiitwa kana kuferefetwa anotanga audzwa kuti mhosva yake yaari kupomerwa ndeipi. Nanhasi hatisi kunyatsoziva kuti mhosva chaiyo ndeipi. Then patatanga kutanga kunzwa mashoko asina kunyatsogara nesu zvakanaka. Totanga kuudzwa kunzi pana complainant in terms of which procedure. Toda kuziva kuti chanyatsomuita kuti auye pamberi peparliament chii chaari kuda kunyatsotaura. Kana pazoitwa nyaya yacho hapana yatinoti pachirungu ambush kana tichiita a proper hearing. Hapana chinhu chinonzi ambush. Tinofanira kuita tinofanira kupiwa mapepa ese kunzwisisa nyaya yese tazopindura taziva maitiro avari kuita senge vakupenengera yatinoti a criminal case kana kuti munhu ane mhosva, asi matems avari kushandisa ndematems emu-inquiry. Saka toda kunyazoziva kubvira pekutanga kuti tiri kuita here a trial kana kuti tiri kuita inonzi inquiry. Zvakasiyana pazvinhu paviri. Pa-inquiry vanhu vekomiti vanenge vachida kunzwisisa kuti chii chakanyatsoitika pakupomerwa mhosva pamamembers of parliament aitwa apa, handiti? Asi zvatakunzwa zvichiitika takuita senge vakutopinzwa pachipiyaniso kuti vatiudze kuti mhosva muri kubvuma here mhosva kana kuti. Saka ndo zvatiri kuda kubvunza kuti topleada guilty or not guilty. Hatisi kunzwisisa kuti muda kuti tiresponde sei. Kana iri inquiry toziva kuti kana vanhu zvavari kuda kutaura zvii zvavari kuda kutaura. Saka ndo zvatiri kuda kuita. I'm switching over to English. The real issue is that we've been brought before Parliament, and Parliament is not entirely clear of what it intends to do, whether this is an inquiry or it is a trial. The two procedures are fundamentally different. They require a different manner of adjudication. So these are the issues that we intend to raise. Furthermore, as we were about to start, it became very clear that Parliament does not even have has not even furnished our clients with all the material allegations that we are supposed to be dealing with. As it is, if we are forced to proceed tomorrow, we should be doing so in violation of the Constitution, which is the right to a fair hearing. And what you need to understand is that Parliament is a law unto itself, technically, in terms of the fact that Parliament has the power to even convict and incarcerate individuals. So we take these proceedings quite seriously. And Parliament also needs to take these proceedings quite seriously by furnishing us with all the requisite material for us to defend our clients. As it is, we don't even know, is this an inquiry or is it a trial? So those are the things that we intend to clarify. Those are the objections that we're going to be raising tomorrow. As it is, I believe that the allegations or the manner of proceeding ought to be revised quite considerably.
So in the event that you don't get these documents that you're talking about, are you going to allow the proceedings to go on?
Well, if those things are not provided, then there are no proceedings. Then we will just have to get a court of law to declare it.
Thank you.
I, Temba Mliswa, swear that the evidence that I will give is the truth, nothing else but the truth, so I help me God.
Thank you. Okay, for the record, let's first proceed with introductions. We have a team recording proceedings and they need to know who is who. They made that request. We assume that they have already sat for 3 days. They are not familiar with one another. Can we start with Mr. Goran in that line and then this guy will go? Introductions.
My name is Judge Rosconnor, I submitted the principal affidavit for this hearing.
Thank you.
My name is Douglas Mafukize. I'm the Administration Director for JR Goddard Contracting.
David William Stein, I'm the Mine Director for JR Goddard Contracting.
Simon Sapatic, representing Honorable Tom. Advocate T. Shwara for Honorable Temba Mliswa.
Mandere for Honorable Temba Mliswa.
Freddie Michael Masari Revu for Honorable Anele Ndebele and Honorable Prince Maduwe Kusibanda.
Leonard Mrendo, Team Live Updates.
Right. Maybe we can another committee members, the rest like that.
I am honorable.
No. That's why Mr. Honorable to come last. Media, maybe.
Show them this is that.
Media, are we done?
Please don't open plan.
Peter Sumara at the Parliament.
Parliament.
At the back. Committee members.
Innocent Gulesi, Member of Parliament from Channel Central.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. May I lead my witness? Honorable Temba Mliswa, you signed an affidavit on the 15th of March 2019, which was submitted to these proceedings. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Sorry, let me just turn this on. Yes, I do.
Do you abide by that affidavit as your evidence before this committee?
Yes, I do. If you see my affidavit, it's up to 19. So I abide by 1 to 10 because 11 to 19, as per ruling of the chair, is no longer necessary.
We do not wish to read any further evidence in chief. We hand over Honorable to the committee for questioning. relates to a breach of one of those tenets that are accorded a parliamentary, an individual appearing or who is under the guise and protection of a member of parliament. It therefore follows that when one then deals with contempt of parliament, such contempt of parliament, again, is an act that is defined and enumerated separately under Part 5 of the Privileges and Immunities and Powers of Parliament Act. So essentially, in motivation, you will note that at law, a breach of parliamentary a breach of parliamentary privilege can only be committed by a member of parliament. It cannot be committed by an ordinary member of society. Whereas contempt of parliament is essentially an act which is restricted to an individual who has been given a direction, or who has been given an order, or who has to perform an act by operation of a parliamentary directive. So once the parameters of this committee are asking the committee to make an adjudication of whether there was a breach of immunity amounting to a parliamentary privilege, it means that the honourable member is being asked to answer to his conduct as a member of parliament, but also as a member of society, which he is not. In this particular instance, we move that the committee makes a ruling on whether or not it is investigating the conduct of Mr. Honorable Mliswa as a member of parliament, or he is being investigated as an individual having broken a tenet of parliament. And to illustrate the point, once one looks at Part 5 of the Act that I have mentioned, you will note that it is usually, and it is actually in fact in every instance where Parliament is given a directive. Take for instance, Honourable Chair gives me a directive to say, Tawanda Juwarara, please sit down, and I continue talking. That constitutes a contempt of Parliament, because Parliament would have given a direction. Whereas, when you look at parliamentary privilege, it means that Honourable Mliswa cannot be brought before a court of law, cannot be asked to answer an allegation, or has been given and accorded a certain protection, such as the freedom to say whatever he wants in parliament. So in that end, when one breaches that privilege, he would be breaching a tenet of established law. Whereas when one breaches conduct under parliamentary contempt, you are breaching a directive. So in this particular instance, all that we ask, and which is important because you would have to then give a report to the main parliament, is you cannot conflate the two together because they are defined by statute. Now, what is also important to note is that these proceedings are not in terms of the code and conduct of parliamentarians. And that's an important aspect. Because if these proceedings were in terms of the code of conduct, the code of conduct has got different ways of dealing with complaints. And if you have breached the code of conduct, you would have to enumerate the specific section and subsection that to say, Honourable Mliswa, you did not conform to these particular parameters. And these are the allegations that you are facing. So there are three ways of dealing with an individual in respect of parliamentary discipline. Number one, you can deal with an individual under the immunity as a breach of privilege, and that for that the allegation has to be that you have violated the privilege we accord you as a parliamentarian. Number two, you can relate to an individual or the general mass of the public under the term contempt of parliament, where a directive has been given by parliament or a standing order has been given by parliament, which you have then violated, or the third way, which was created under the code of conduct. The code of conduct then allows a substrata of discipline for members of parliament. And in this particular instance, you will note that
the terms of reference have restricted themselves to either a breach of parliamentary privilege or contempt of parliament. So the submission that we make, which is at paragraph number 9, is that at the end, may the committee rule whether it is investigating a breach of parliamentary privilege, and we be told which of those parliamentary privileges, because they are many, which of those parliamentary privileges Honorable Mliswa is being alleged to have breached, then, or is Parliament investigating an act of contempt of Parliament, which has to be relating to the specific provisions of the Privileges and Immunities Powers Act, and then tell us which subsection it is. So we are not objecting to the hearing. What we are objecting to is the adjudication and how that adjudication is evaluated, because the honorable member has to come before you and tell you that, yes, I might have done this conduct, because he would have been able to know which section and then evaluate his conduct against that section and then either confess or avoid. So all we are asking for is particularity so that the honorable member is able to confess or avoid. Those will be my submissions. Unless the you answer.
And from the Vice President Mohadi?
No, I've never received a letter from Vice President Mohadi, but I have from His Excellency.
Okay. Have you ever wrote letters to Vice President Mohadi?
Yes, I have.
Thank you. You can agree that when we talk of the office of the President, the Cabinet, you yourself, you were in touch with the highest office at those offices, but you never deemed it fit to verify Tundia's mandate from that office whom you even exchange letters with. Is that what you are telling this committee and everyone else who is here?
So that's an assumption on your part. When I met with Vice President Mohadi, I asked him about Shepherd Tundia, and he indicated to me that he would check and revert to me.
And up to now, is he still to revert to you?
Up to now, he's still to revert to me. He has not reverted to me.
But just now you said you believed him, so you never bothered to check.
Order. We are still trying to find out when you said Mr. Mnangagwa, Vice President Mohadi, who is Mr. Mnangagwa? Let's find out from our side. There are possibilities. There are so many.
I do follow. The letter that is on record is simply written, if I may. It pains also, that is why I was trying to inquire.
What's the dated?
The letter dated 22 October.
The one who signed Emerson.
Says Emerson Mnangagwa. I did not want to just say Emerson Mnangagwa.
And then it's written.
It then says President. But then I will come later on whether or not this letter originated from that office. I do not want to conclude as a matter of fact that this letter was written by the President, because I don't know his signature, but those questions will come so that he can then verify that indeed this was from the President.
Yeah, but our interest is that we refer to a letter signed and this title President.
Yes.
So respectively, you could have said, this letter is supposed to come from, I suspect, from President, but I have doubt, so that we don't look to be respectful of the President. You say Mr. Mnangagwa, then you say Vice President.
No, that I do follow and consider that it could have said otherwise. That I do follow and take that up.
Okay.
Perhaps for the avoidance of doubt, you confirm that this letter was from the President.
I believe so.
Emerson Mnangagwa, as it is indicated.
I believe so. It was delivered to me in a lovely envelope with a government vehicle. I believe it came directly from His Excellency the President.
Then thank you for that. I would Chairperson, I'm sure it has been verified. And then, proceeding on that one, what I was asking is that when I inquired from you whether you made any attempt to verify Shepherd Tundia's identity, you said you believed him. But now you are saying you made an attempt to check with the Vice President Mohadi. Which one then do we believe? Was it based on your belief? Or you checked with the Vice President, but the Vice President took long to revert back to you in as far as the identity of Tundia is concerned?
Well, both. I still haven't had a response or a confirmation from the Honourable Vice President, but I did ask him, and up until right now, I still don't know absolutely, what Mr. Tundia's official designation is.
Thank you.
We were standing together in a group. I could hear what was happening. I could see what was happening.
So tell this committee whether we had 400,000 or it was a perception, so that you proceed to the next point.
I heard 400,000 discussed, and it was confirmed for me by my mining director, who was standing right next to me.
No, we are not yet there. We are with you. Your mining directors will speak for themselves, not through you. Why would you say it was a perception when we had the figure of 400,000? Is there any explanation to that?
Well, hearing gives rise to a perception. I understood it. I understood it. I apologize if I haven't made myself very clear, but I'll try to. I think that you might be trying to trip me up or something.
No, I have no reason. Hearing and understanding are two different things. Do you agree?
Okay, I heard that.
Yes. You can hear something and have your own understanding. Is that correct? But definitely the figure of 400,000, if you hear it, tell us that again. The figure.
I heard 400,000.
Yes, that is why I'm saying, why you were then, you saying it was a perception when you heard it. Because you seem to be wasting time on one issue, straightforward issue, where you're supposed to say, I heard so and so requesting so much. Why were you trying to evade and not going direct on that issue? You should have an explanation somewhere. Why were you avoiding? Going direct to say, I heard you.
Like I said, we were standing in a group. Honourable Chikomba was that side, Leonard Tundia was that side, Honourable Sabanda was somewhere in between, and I was this side with
no, that we agree.
With my mining director, David Stein. And it was 5 months ago. I cannot categorically state absolutely whatever, but what I can tell you is I very clearly understood that there was an expectation for $400,000 to be paid to Mr. Chikomba, and that is why he asked for a piece of paper and he wrote his bank details down. I understood it. And when I objected to the $400,000, there was a counter offer made of 50%, 200,000, and the balance paid when the contract was signed. I heard it.
In your own wisdom, do you easily think that anyone sensible would give the person bank details to transfer this money directly into the account, which obviously has trade?
Which obviously has?
There's trade.
At a trade?
Yes. Do you think, in your own evidence and wisdom, do you think it's normal?
I was very surprised that Honourable Chikomba had given me his bank details. I was very surprised indeed that he had done it.
Who handed over the paper with bank details to you?
I can't remember. we were a group. Honourable Chikomba asked for the piece of paper. He wrote the bank details, whether he handed it to Mr. Sabanda, whether he handed it to Mr. Tundia, but it came to me.
It ended up in your hand?
Yes, it ended up in my hand.
What else was written in that paper?
Well, I then took the piece of paper upstairs, and I then wrote on that piece of paper the other persons who were there, and on that same piece of paper, I got the business card from Mr. Temba Mliswa, and I attached it, and then I kept the whole lot together. It was a record for me of what had happened.
Other than the bank details, the other information was written
by me. It's my handwriting. The other information, the information about the bank details, that is Honourable Chikomba's handwriting. The contact details for Anele Ndebele, Honourable Ndebele, Honourable Sabanda, and were written in my handwriting.
Thank you. Didn't you think it was wise to transfer money into this account and then say, I caught him red-handed?
I did not want to. I did not want to catch anybody red-handed. I was not in the business of trying to rat anybody. I'm a highly pressurized Zimbabwean businessman trying to keep nearly 2,000 people employed. I was simply trying to survive and move on to the next day. I didn't want to catch Honourable Chikomba out at all, nor anybody.
Yeah. So when you testify before this committee, what is your intention?
Thank you for asking me that question, because it's something that I would like to state. My intention, these events happened. The following week, His Excellency attended the Arcadian Lithium opening out here at Arcturus. It was after the Arcturus opening that I then telephoned Vice President Mohadi, and I said, Baba, I'm confused and I'm unhappy. Please, can I come and see you? And he said, yes, come. And I went to go and see Vice President Mohadi. I sat in his office. He gave me a cup of tea, and then he said, what is worrying you? And I told him the events.
Thank you.
He then said to me, are you prepared to testify? And I said to him, I will do whatever is the right thing to do. I don't want to cause trouble for anybody. I don't want to cause hassles for anybody. I just want to do the right thing. I have a letter here from His Excellency congratulating me and referring to let us build Zimbabwe. I want to do that. I don't want to be involved in things that are bad. So my motivation is not to cause trouble for anybody. My motivation is to do what is right for our nation, Zimbabwe.
Thank you. Then that is what we've always done.
That's always what I've tried to do, yes. That's always what I've tried to do.
Even including indirectly paying for facilitation fees requested by some government officials.
Whenever I've done that, I've examined my mind. Whenever I've done that, I've examined my mind and I've looked at things. I've referred the matter to Mafukidze for his advice. And when what we have done has had the greater benefit for a wider community, we have done it. Like we have put roofs on schools, we've built classrooms, we bought buses for schools, we built a library, we built dormitories.
Whatever you've done, let's agree that you said this was an indirect way of trying to please certain people, but not directly through facilitation fees. In other words, it was sanitizing the demand for that money.
No, it wasn't sanitizing it. It was responding to a request for assistance from a specific community group that needed assistance.
That means there's another explanation that you should give us on how we indirectly managed to please those who were requesting money from you. As these are not the community that we are not talking about. You are saying that request would have been from that community. What about those who unlawfully requested money from you? How then did you please them?
I've never had requests for money per se for an individual.
Thank you. You understand this is it's being recorded. So take note of that. Now that after the person whom we are saying was the chairperson had left, who initially also considered that person was also an invitee. I'm saying, now that Honorable Mliswa was out of the picture, right? Your case is that you then had Honorable Svanda and Honorable Chiko. And you allege that they demanded money. In the absence of these two, right? What then did you do to alert even the person who was chairing the meeting that how come your fellow guys are now requesting money from you? What is going on? Did you demand any explanation?
I sent the following day. I sent a text message to the persons who were there, and I said to them that I could not entertain such things. I had a telephone conversation, like I told you earlier, with Honourable Ndebele as I was descending down the hill towards Salou. I believe that I adequately communicated, and I adequately communicated that to Mr. Shepherd Tundia. He was the guy who called me to the meeting. I hadn't asked for this meeting. I didn't know the people in the meeting. It was my first time to meet them. So I contacted Mr. Tundia first thing the next morning and said, no, Shepherd, this is Cocker. I don't want to be involved with this. I'm going home now.
So you never bothered to inform the chairperson or any other person who was involved from the 4 MPs?
The following week, I discussed the matter with Mr. Temba Mliswa, Honourable Temba Mliswa, and I communicated it to Honourable Temba Mliswa the following week, which I think was the 21st of November.
That there was a demand for money?
Yes.
How come the statement does not show that?
I believe my statement does say that.
Where exactly?
I advised Honourable Temba Mliswa that I am a passionate and loyal Zimbabwean who is committed to the reconstruction of our Zimbabwean economy, and that proper and official processes must always be followed and adhered to. I then showed Honourable Temba Mliswa much prized and appreciated letter that I had received from His Excellency President Emerson Namuzo Mnangagwa, which clearly motivates all citizens of Zimbabwe to pull together and build our Zimbabwean economy. As stated by His Excellency, we must all work to restore the status of our great nation, Zimbabwe, as an economic leader of Southern Africa. I believe that by bringing these disturbing events to the attention of the Parliament of Zimbabwe, Chair of contracting or fulfilling our part and role in this process.
Does this statement say you advised Honourable Temba Mliswa that 2 honourables had demanded or requested 400,000 from you?
No, it does not specifically say that.
Thank you. And
order, I think we've been on about an hour now. I don't know what you think of.
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Freddy Masarirevu, representing Honorable Prince Svanda and Honorable Anel Ndebele. Honorable Chair, I wanted to inform the committee that Honorable Anel Ndebele and Honorable Svanda were in Bulawayo, and they did try to convey that message to you.
Thank you for that information. Honorable Svanda spoke to me this evening, Sorry, and said exactly what you are saying. He thinks he will be hereby conflict with the Priviledges Parliamentary Committee. I think he will make it from what he said.